Okay, wonderful. I'm here with you again, and we're going to continue exploration into Kundalini. And I want to just begin with recapping quickly what Kundalini Yoga is. And Kundalini Yoga is a science, and it's your creative potential. Your creative potential. Whatever you decide to be as a human being, you can be, right? And you experience it when the energy of the glandular system combines with the energy of the nervous system to create such a sensitivity that the totality of the brain receives signals and integrates them. I know it's a mouthful. You'll have to rewind and re-listen, but it's that magic that makes everything work, you know. And with that creative power, we can actually create ourselves in the image of whatever we decide to be. We can co-create a human being. You know, it's a sexual power, which is one of the most powerful things there is, because you can probably, give life with this, and you can probably take life with this. If you put it into the wrong direction and you put it all towards like getting power and what have you, but we're talking about a positive aspects. And with it's just like fire, you can cook a dinner on the fire, but you can burn a man or a human with the fire. So you have to know this tool really well. You have to know all the safety things with this. You have to make sure that you practice it within the guidelines, and you practice it for the best and the good of everyone, not just yourself, because that can really backfire. And this practice is very much for the age of Aquarius that we all live in. In fact, I've had a conversation this morning. We were collaborating about something, and it's not about sponging off somebody anymore. It's not about parasiting off someone else. It's about becoming fully functional human being, and it's about taking your full responsibility for the life you lead, for the health you have, and for the relationship you create. So it's very much about sovereignty and being in your own power and creating the world and the life for yourself, and it will transpire in the lives of people who are around you. So it's a very interesting tool that you could have to your toolbox. And I've had some questions about how this yoga differentiate from other types of yoga, and whether there is a bhakti element to it. Bhakti, it's a devotion for towards something, and yes, and Kundalini Yoga is actually talked about as the mother of all other yogas. There are like 22 types of yoga and still growing. Different yogas being created, like laughter yoga, Drew yoga, like you name it, African yoga. So, and Kundalini Yoga has elements of other yogas within it. And the big elements, for example, I can give you like Bhakti Yoga, so devotional. You have to come to this practice with devotion for yourself, for your soul, for your spiritual journey. It has a aspect of Laya Yoga. Laya Yoga is another yoga that can be experienced, which works very much with sound and how the energy of the sound works through our bodies. There is, of course, chanting and the frequency of our own voice projection, which is in this yoga. There is a Shabad, there is asanas, as in Ashtanga yoga, there are mudras, there are eye positions, which works very much with your pituitary, pineal, hypothalamus. So there is just so much in this yoga that you can take a little bit out of it and find it beneficial, and that could all be that you do. But in all of the complexity and in all of the capacity that this Kundalini yoga can give you, you know, it's a really golden, really priceless practice that you can tap into. And I have, and then you become totally and wholly aware, and your creative potential becomes available to you. So this is the most important message, okay? Because I know a lot of people become self-aware, waking up in this day and age, and then, you know, then like, oh, what do I do? Who do I go to? And like, who can guide me? And one of the things we as Kundalini yoga practitioners always say is that you can create your own self-reference within yourself, and you can be that anchor and point that you can always feed back to. So you can create this self-feedback mechanism, okay? And as you begin, it's, as in any practice, it's very helpful and very healthy to have a guide, to have a teacher, to have a close, trusted relation with, which is very beneficial, because, you know, as you grow in this practice, so will your ego. And in this practice, we don't get rid of ego. We actually make sure that the ego works for us, because ego is our identity, and without our identity, like, who are we? Of course, we are all one, and we share the soul and fragments of the soul, but infinity wants to experience itself, and so it breaks into these different particles which we represent as humanity and as individuals. And so we are identified by our egos, by what color skin I have, what color eyes I have, the length of my hair, the sound of my voice, and the language I speak, and the country I was born, and so on and so on, right? And all the experiences I've had. So this has very much to do with, you know, what kind of people you're going to attract, and what kind of tribes you're going to be identifying with, and what kind of social layers you will be kind of engaging with. So this all has part to play in our lives, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, but we need to make sure that the ego doesn't have us by the nose and like carries us around and like tells us what to do, but we use that for the benefit of our soul, so we can progress in this lifetime as our soul desires. Okay, so, oh yes, and from this identity, I wanted to touch on the question I've received, how, you know, delve into the elements of Sikhism that are present in Kundalini yoga. And yes, there is a story about, of course, about one of the sons of the Guru going up to the yogis in Himalayas in Tibet, which only happened maybe 500 years ago. and asking the yogis there, the self-illumined and self-realized, like, okay, this is all great, you are so great in your greatness, but what can this do for us, for humanity? And so yogis came down and started to share their knowledge with the chosen ones. You know, in the beginning it was just rajas or gurus that could benefit from this practice. But then, and so that was from the Sikhism tradition, the gurus, yeah. And then, of course, master of Kundalini Yoga, he was a Sikh himself, who brought these teachings to the West. And so you could say that Kundalini Yoga has all this well settled and well-established traditions within it, which, you know, go back 3,000 years, because that's how long the yogis have been practicing in Tibet or Himalayas. But then it has this modern aspect to it, because it's been modified and adapted to people who live the lives that we live today, like hectic. We have family lives, we have children, we have work to do, we have, you know, information, and we eat food of all sorts, GMO, non-organic, you know, so we are able to digest all of this and make use of it, even though we are not solitary somewhere sitting in a cave and don't talk to anyone, right, and in complete silence. So this is the yoga for this age. And so, touching again on another question, how is this yoga connected to astrology and the numerology? Just by being in the age of Aquarius, you can draw upon the fact that Aquarius is the water sign, right? And Aquarius, is it the water sign? No, I think I might be wrong. I think Aquarius is the air sign. And so you can connect the fact that the air sign represents Aquarius, and also air represents our heart space. And so this is very much linked in a way that we live in an age where we have to open our heart. We are asked, this is what is asked of us, is to open our hearts and live the life from the heart space rather than the mind, rather than being too analytical and too logical and too kind of confined. So heart space is limitless. And so connecting to numerology, we can draw parallels with like chakra system in our body, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's your numerology. You can link into what the number 1 means, what number 7 means, you know, the whole totality of the chakras, you know, 7 plus aura is 8. So 8 is the infinity number, and so on and so forth, you know. We can have the whole weekend just talking about numerology and how it links up with Kundalini Yoga, and like 5 tattvas, what 5 elements that we all experience, or 3 gunas like Rajasic, Tamasic and Sattvic, and and soul is 1, you know, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's why I kind of do these little short videos, is to kind of give you a little taster of what Kundalini training is about, because on the training you can really dive deep into each of the aspects of Kundalini Yoga. You can have the whole weekend just talking about how you incarnated onto this plane, how your soul have chosen the mother and the father and the land and exact latitude and longitude and time that you would incarnate in a specific family with a specific traditions, with specific patterns, and have that experience. I mean, you know, we have the whole weekend talking about food. We have a whole weekend talking about postures and adaptations and how anybody can practice them and how we can make this possible. So, you know, training, Kundalini training, is really a training for your life. It's I personally feel that it should be given in schools, because we all deserve to know how to live our lives and what kind of rules and universal laws we're governed by. And you know, it's better late than never. I mean, I came to this when I was 30, and so some people come to this when they're 70, when they, you know, 60. It's some people come to this when they're 18, and that's really, really good. But so yeah, so anyway, moving on. So yeah, we can really discuss any topic in this yoga. It's all amazing. And actually, yeah, talking about the children, the born and unborn, as women, we are all connected through the lineage, through the fact that we all born through the womb. And with men, it's kind of, it stops because men don't have womb, they don't have ovaries. And with women and with the girls, it kind of continues. Because take this, when you are a cell in your mother's ovary, who is a fetus in your grandmother's womb, as a cell, you collect all the memories that your mother felt and collected from her grandmother, from her mother, which is your grandmother, who has had experience whatever she experienced during her, you know, during carrying that child through the pregnancy. So your cells have memories of what happened, and this way we are so connected to the lineage behind us and to our descendants. Okay, and as a mother, we carry this on. As a woman, we carry this on, and as a girl, we carry this on. So there's so much more to say on this, and I really invite you to explore the possibility of coming on to the training, which starts on 9th of February 2023. Okay, so any other question? Kundalini power, we've touched on that. Oh yes, yeah. So how does it work? How does it work? Okay. So Kundalini lies at the bottom of your spine, and Kundalini actually translates as the curly, the lock of the beloved. So there's so much reverence, there is so much sacredness, and there's so much there's so much honoring in that. I mean, imagine, you know, it's very romantic as well, you know, the lock of your beloved, and it's that connection thread that can link us from the bottom of our spine through all of the chakras or energy channels to the infinity that we're all swimming in, right? So from the bottom of your spine, it rises up, and the only reason it rises up is when the relationship between the prana that we take in with the breath and apana, which is the eliminating force, So we should be able to eliminate things from our body, and it can be breath, and it can be toxins, and it can be, you know, going to the toilet and all of that. But there is just so much more that we eliminate: the psychic powers, and you know, the smells, and the temperature we eliminate. So there's so much more than just eliminating breath. So when these two forces come together at your navel, they compress, and so it's like a pump. It works as a pump. So they come together, they start to compress, and the white heat is released. Psychic heat is released, and so that heat creates that rise of Kundalini, and she starts to rise from the bottom of the spine up to the second chakra, third chakra, fourth chakra, fifth chakra, sixth chakra. And when she's at the center of your skull, she then has to make a leap of faith from the center of your skull into the third eye and out through your nostrils. So we have 3 main channels. So our body is like an instrument. Yeah, there are 72 strings to our body. In other terms, we call it nadis in Kundalini Yoga. They're not meridians, they're similar to meridians, but they are specific energy channels that are called nadis. And so there are 72 of them. And 3 main ones are the central channel, which is called Sushumna, or the silver cord, which goes from the top of your head to the root of your spine. And through this channel, you can take in the cosmic energy, which cascades through all the chakras down. And again, the Kundalini is showered in that, and she can raise through that central channel to the 100th petal lotus and open up your crown, so you open up to the cosmic energy. It's like two-way street, that channel. There's also a feminine channel, Ida, on the left, and the masculine channel, Pingala, on the right. And they intertwine. At each energy center, they intertwine, and they come to the center of the head. They make the leap of faith into the third eye, and they come out of the nostrils. Okay, so and that's how it works. And as it passes through each channel, it regulates it, it opens it up, it harmonizes it, it allows things to be released and things to be accepted. And at each energy level, there is a different lesson, or there's a different color or hue to be learned and to be integrated. Okay, so again, in detail, we'll learn about it on the training. And yeah, and so why some call it a legal high? Why is Kundalini Yoga so closely connected to legal high and feeling of the bliss and feeling of the limitlessness and just joy and expansion? Is because when we practice, we have specific exercises that allow us penetrate with this special power into the higher centers of our skull, which allows secretion to be released from the main glands like pineal, pituitary, hypothalamus. And these secretions, they're very much linked into the feelings of joy, feelings of happiness, connectedness, production of oxytocins, like you know, when you breastfeed a baby, you produce oxytocin. You don't have to feed the baby, you don't even have to be a female to produce oxytocin. You can produce oxytocin just by focusing your gaze at the third eye. Now, how cool is that, right? And you will feel the emotions of bliss and you will feel emotions of connectedness and belonging, because this production of oxytocin, which it's the chemical compound which makes you feel that. How cool is that? And it's all self-created. And then you can produce serotonin yourself when your pineal works really well. And pineal actually reacts to the light and to the darkness. And darkness what makes the pineal to create the correct hormones. And so Kundalini yoga, the practice of it, the breath of it, the movements and the mudras and the voice and the mantras, they all help navigate and make sure our glands secrete properly. And that's what's the important thing. Even some people, Kundalini yoga is not a medicine, but it can be really, really beneficial in some cases, especially when people had problems with their pineals. For example, we know a lot of pineal glands are actually solidify because of consumption of different products which are not good for us. And so you can undo this harm that's been done by other chemicals. And and you start producing your own serotonin, and you feel elation at the end of the exercise, because you sustain a pressure, a stress for a short period of time, and then you release that. And so your body gets accustomed to the fact that short stress, release, short stress, release. So it's like you're exercising a muscle, you put in it under pressure and then you release it. You put it under pressure, you release it. And exactly the same way it works with Kundalini yoga. Okay, and I guess keep it short and sweet again. I will just touch base on the fact that most of the time we operate from subconscious mind. 90% of our daily actions produced from subconscious or automatic mind, or our what they call it, lizard brain, something like that, lizard brain, yeah. So, and Kundalini yoga helps us to release that subconscious. Subconscious is like your garbage bin that you just chuck everything you don't need into it, and then you squash it, you really pack it in, and then you throw some more. Now, what happens if we don't practice the cleansing it or clearing out the subconscious? What happens then? You just pack it in until it's full, and then it starts overspilling into our conscious mind, and that's where it causes problems, and that's where we get all of the patterns that we actually don't need, but they're still acting out. And so Kundalini yoga helps us with the meditation and the mantra and the chants to release the subconscious, so you can keep it clean, keep it clear, so you don't freak out in your daily activities. And it's like taking a spiritual shower. You brush your teeth every day, you have showers regularly, you wash your hair. The same with your subconscious, the same with your psyche. It needs to be cleansed. So that's it, I guess, for today. I am very grateful you've managed to tune in with us and listen to this talk or read the script of this talk. I'm very happy to serve you. I'm Amanjot Kaur, and I really, really invite you to look into the possibility of enrolling on our training course, and you don't need to want to be a teacher at all. This teacher is your highest option if you decide to take it. But even for yourself, for the knowledge of how to live this life, it's like instruction manual, you know, and it's very helpful to have it as a backup when you really don't know what to do in your life, and when you're really lost, and when you need something solid to stand on. So more explanations in the comments or to this video, or the comments to the Facebook live stream. Don't hesitate to get in touch, and I will see you very, very soon. Satnam.